is recognized.
Thank you both for being here. Appreciate your work. Appreciate your expertise that you bring to the jobs that the important roles that you fill. And these are really important subjects that we're talking about today. So thank you so much again for being here. Mr. Dabbar, it was great to be with you in November out at Fermilab. Grateful for one of the first visits I think you made after your confirmation was there to Fermilab, and it was great to be with you. I really enjoyed it, but I also know everybody at Fermilab was really pleased and impressed with your visit. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking that time to be there and to see some of the amazing things that they're doing. I also want to thank the administration for continued commitment to the long-base neutrino facility and the accompanying deep underground neutrino experiment that you mentioned in your opening remarks, your statement. It was reassuring for the international community as well, and the people working in my district to hear from the Secretary and OSTP at the groundbreaking of the FAR site in South Dakota last year as well. One question I have as the process continues is regarding the PIP2 upgrades for the beamline. While a separate project from LBNF Dune, this upgrade is necessary for the success of LBNF Dune and has already garnered international support, again, as you mentioned, for about 20% of the project, with India alone investing $200 million. Giving America the world's strongest neutrino beam is essential for the United States to become the single place in the world where scientists must come to do this work. I wondered, Mr. Dabbar, if I could ask for your commitment to assess the status of PIP2 and, if possible, to help move this project forward through DOE's review process and provide the necessary funds to keep this project on track.
Yes, Congressman Hultgren, I'm very much in support of continuing to review that. Obviously, as you pointed out, there's been great international cooperation. I think if you kind of compare that to our version of CERN, yes, in terms of being able to draw in support and draw in science, it's actually a big focus of mine, is take what the Fermi team has done in terms of how to build an international consortium to pull investment into the United States based upon our knowledge, based upon the knowledge that's at the Fermi laboratory. And actually what I want to try to do is not only execute on what we're doing, pull in some additional funds, which both myself and the Secretary and the Deputy are actively engaged in diplomatic aspects of other countries to do that. But we actually want to take the skill sets that the team that pulled together at Fermi to try to look at other potential user facilities in the future to use that as a model.
That's fantastic. And I think the best story out of that certainly is great work they've done to pull it together, but even as you and I talked about there, the challenge that we have to do to keep that going and growing is to make sure we're doing our part as well. And so that's our commitment, and as Congress working with the administration to make sure that funding is there, that we're able to follow through on these important projects that are garnering this amazing world attention, but more than just attention, investment that is really exciting. If I could address to both of you in just the remaining minute and a half that I have, the House has passed legislation that I've sponsored the last two Congresses unanimously to modernize and streamline the technology transfer process from the labs. Again, something that you mentioned. One of the administration's key priorities has been removing regulations that are impeding the private sector from bringing new ideas and businesses to the market. A provision of my legislation, which the prior administration opposed, allowed for laboratory directors to have signature authority on tech transfer agreements below $1 million. While I respect the site offices and their need for DOE oversight of our labs, unfortunately the time it takes to do many of these smaller agreements means that small businesses and other partners were unable to work with our labs. I wondered if this is a proposal you'd be willing to take a look at, and we feel like this is in line with common sense, deregulatory approach that the President has tasked agencies to implement. So again, wondered if you might be willing to take a look at this, again, empowering for some of these still significant but lower cost projects to allow the site directors to be able to move forward.
Yes,
or lab directors.
I've reviewed HR 1158. And certainly looked at a lot of those particular provisions. I certainly understand the point about the signature authority. I'm certainly open to discussing that. I've not gone through that particular point in detail, but we have focused a significant amount on reducing the amount of legal effort and administration effort around CRADAs, around work for others. And as you probably know, we actually took the ACT program, which is another version, which allows greater flexibility on legal points around contractors to enter into new agreements. We made that permanent. So we generally agree with everything that you've laid out in HR 1158, and I'm certainly open to talking with that particular line item point further.
Great. Well, again, thank you all. Thank you both so much.
Did you want me to add anything on that? I was just going to say from my
Quickly, maybe, I'm sorry, my
private
time's
sector
expired, but
experience, you know, the ACT model seems to reflect a lot about what goes out there in the private industry on risk assessment, management,
Yeah.
funding.
that's right. Thank you. Thanks, Chairman. Yield back.